Start the recording. We talked last time about how many badikas we need for the days, how many days we need of badikas. And now I think we are talking about the when do the Shevanikim begin? That's on page 110, sort of in the middle. When do Shevanikim begin? So far in this shiur, do you have it? Oh, you're muted.
Weird. So weird. I was not muted, and then it's okay. You want me to read this one? When do Sheva Nakim begin?
Yeah, or I could start us
Okay.
off, or you can start us off. Doesn't matter. Go for it.
Okay, I'll go for it. So far in this year, we've discussed some of the rules relating to the Hefsek Tara and the Shiva Nakim. What is left to discuss and is somewhat more complex to understand is the question of how many days a woman must wait after the onset of menstrual cycle before beginning Sheva Nakim. We've already seen that she must obtain a clean Hefsek Tara on the day before beginning Sheva Nakim. What is the earliest possible time that this can be done and the Sheva Nakim can be begun? The answer is that she may start counting Sheva Nakim at whatever point it can be ensured that she will not subsequently become impure as a result of poletet sheikhvat zera, discharged semen remaining from relations prior to becoming a Niddah. This is evident from a series of passages in the Gemara in Niddah. The Gemara states that a Zav who experiences seminal emission in the middle of his Sheva Nakim must interrupt his count. The Gemara later in the tractate cites Rami Bar Chama, who questions whether the same halacha applies to a Zav as well. Should I continue?
Yeah, go to the next
Okay, so
orange
Masechet
introduction.
Niddah 22a. It is derived from the verse, "This is the law of the Zav and of one from whom the flow of semen emerges, so that he is impure by it." Vayikra 15:32. That just as Ziva during the 7 clean days negates the count, so too a seminal emission negates the count. Rami Bar Chama raises a dilemma in the case of a woman who discharges semen after engaging in intercourse with her husband. What is the halacha as to whether she negates her counting with regard to Ziva? Rami Bar Chama elaborates, in general, a woman who discharges semen is impure, but the reason for this halacha is uncertain. Is it because she was considered one who saw semen, i.e. the emission of semen itself rendered her impure, just like a man who experiences a seminal emission? And if so, this woman negates her count. Or perhaps it's because she was touching the semen, and if so, she has not thereby negated her count, just as a Zav does not negate his count if he touches semen.
So it's already starting to be a little bit complicated. We're
Yeah.
learning it from a Zav, applying it to a Zava. We're not even sure exactly what the mechanism is. We know there's an issue, but we're not sure how severe the issue is. All right. Although the Gemara here does not resolve Rami Bar Chama's question, a number of Rishonim note that the Gemara later in Niddah does appear to rule that her count is interrupted. In Masechet Niddah 42a, Rav Shmuel bar Bisna asked Abaye, with regard to a woman who discharges semen, is her status that of one who experienced an emission of an impure substance, or is her status that of one who came into contact with an impure substance? Abaye said to him, the woman's status is that of one who experienced an emission of semen. Rav Shmuel bar Bisna came and asked Rava the same question, and he too said to him, the woman's status is that of one who experienced an emission. He came before Rav Yosef, and he too said to him, her status is that of one who experienced an emission. Okay, so if it is accepted, I just see, is this the introduction to the next one or the conclusion of mine? I'll do it, and then you'll probably get to the next. I'll probably introduce your next source. If it is accepted that poletet sheikhvat zera, discharging semen, does force her to interrupt her count, we must then determine for how many days experiencing such a discharge is a relevant concern. The answer to this can be found in the Gemara in Shabbat, which cites a machloket concerning how many days, or 12-hour periods, referred to as onot, the semen can remain potent for following marital relations, after which point it would no longer render her impure. You want to do the...
Oh, interesting.
It's so interesting.
The sages taught in Baraita, a woman who discharges semen at any point on the 3rd day is ritually pure. This is the statement of Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah. Rabbi Ishmael says, even on the third day, she is ritually impure. In addition, the only relevant tally is the number of days. The number of 12-hour periods of night and day that pass is not relevant. Sometimes there are 4 12-hour periods that elapse between cohabitation and discharge. Sometimes there are 5 12-hour periods that elapse in a case where she discharges semen at the end of Friday night. Sometimes there are 6 12-hour periods that elapse if she had relations at the beginning of Tuesday night and discharge at the end of the third day. Rabbi Akiva says the halacha is that it's always 5 12-hour periods, and if she had relations after part of the first period passed, she's given part of the sixth period to complete the requisite 5 12-hour periods, so that 60 hours will have elapsed between cohabitation and discharge. Rav Chia, son of Rabbi Abba, says that Rabbi Yochanan said, these are the statements of Rabbi Ishmael and Rabbi Akiva. However, the rabbis say, we require that 6 complete 12-hour periods elapse between cohabitation and discharge. If a woman discharged semen less than 72 hours after having relations, the semen renders her ritually impure.
Okay,
What?
so it
Okay.
gets more and more complicated, but basically we could count me'et la'et, meaning like you started you were intimate at 6 p.m., so then we'll count, 6 p.m. 3 onot or 3 days or whatever later. Or we say no, we need a complete ona. So even if you have half an ona that nothing was going on, that doesn't count. You have to start clean, sort of like Shabbos and like other counts that we really that we start at a set time rather than calculating when you and when she and when he and whatever. The Rambam rules that the semen remains potent for 3 onot, or 12-hour periods, which the Beit Yosef explains follows the opinion of Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah. The Rambam also rules that a woman who discharges semen within that period must negate that day of her count. Beit Yosef Yoredea. The Rambam holds that one who discharges semen negates her count even concerning relations with her husband, as he writes in the 6th chapter of Hilchot Isur Bia, that if she discharged semen during the days of her counting, she invalidates 1 day, since she has the status of a zav who experienced a seminal emission, who invalidates 1 day. But he holds that a seminal discharge only invalidates when the discharge occurs within 3 onot. But if the discharge occurs after 3 onot, it doesn't invalidate, as he writes in the 5th chapter of Hilchot Shar Avot HaTumah, that a woman who discharges semen, if she discharged within 3 onot, she's impure, like a man who experienced a seminal emission. Therefore, she invalidates 1 day if she was a zava. If she discharges after 3 onot, the woman is pure. Similarly, semen that was discharged, sorry. Oh, I said something. Similarly, semen that was discharged after that time is pure, since its form has been lost. His reason is that he rules in accordance with Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, who is quoted in the chapter of Rabbi Kiva, but not in accordance with Rashi's interpretation of his opinion. It is rather in accordance with how the Rambam himself interprets them in the 8th chapter of Masachet Mikvaot, where the opinion of Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah and those who argue with him are recorded. The Trumat Hadeshen writes that the Or Zarua also rules in accordance with Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah that one who discharges semen on the third day is pure, even if there are only 2 full onot, i.e. 24 hours, as Rashi and Tosfot explain his opinion there. But he himself writes that we follow the opinion of the rabbis, who say 6 full onot are required.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Plot
The Rosh
thickens.
rules in a yeah. So fun. Like they're discussing these things, like, and all of them have opinions, different opinions.
I know it's
Yeah.
interesting. I wonder, like, it's clearly based on some sort of scientific research on their part, but it's interesting to think about it.
Yeah. Yeah. The Rosh rules in accordance with the opinion of the Chachamim, the rabbis, that the semen remains potent for a full 3-day period following relations. A woman could therefore become impure during that time and interrupt her count of Sheva Nikim if she would begin beforehand. For this reason, she does not begin her Sheva Nikim until after a full 3-day period. The Rosh explains that she should therefore wait at least 4 full days from the onset of the menstrual period before beginning the count to ensure that the 72-hour period has passed in all scenarios. Therefore, one should be stringent about one who discharges and negates 1 day of her count. Therefore, every woman should be careful not to begin counting the 7 clean days until the fifth day from having had relations. For example, if she had relations on Motzei Shabbat, she would not begin to count the 7 clean days until Thursday, as we follow the opinion of the rabbis who say in Shabbat, in the chapter of Rabbi Akiva, that we must wait 6 full 12-hour periods for discharge. Therefore, if she had relations on Motzei Shabbat and then becomes Niddah that night, and then discharges on the night before Wednesday, i.e. Tuesday night, therefore the time of her relations on Motzei Shabbat, she's still within the 6 12-hour periods. If she experiences a discharge, she negates 1 day of the count. Therefore, Thursday would be the first day of her count, assuming she produced a clean hefsek tara on Wednesday afternoon. Okay, so hang on. So if she became Niddah Saturday night, so then it's like Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So Thursday is her first night.
Of
Is
the
that what you're saying?
Shevanikim.
Okay, so that's like how we count 5 days.
Right.
Okay.
Oh, there's some more. Sorry.
Okay.
Did I give you that next page?
Yeah.
Ah,
The Ravad writes in responsum that they only ruled that one who discharges semen negates her count with regard to the issue of purity, i.e., causing foods that she touches to be rendered impure. But for her husband, i.e., permitting relations following the 7 clean days, it does not negate the count. But it is proper to be stringent in accordance with the re, and that is the custom in France and Germany. Uh-huh. So they do 4 days, is that what they're saying?
so that is so actually let's see if this next little box will help
Okay.
us. In the Rosh scenario used by the Beit Yosef as well, the couple had relations on Motzei Shabbat, for example, at 11 p.m. And the woman began her menstrual period the next morning. Okay. Then she discharged semen on Tuesday night, for example, at 10 p.m. So that was Motzei Shabbos to Sunday, Sunday to Motzei Shabbos to
But
Sunday
okay,
morning,
so
Sunday
it
morning to
was
Sunday night, Sunday
one.
night to Monday morning, Monday morning to Monday night, Monday night to Tuesday morning, Tuesday morning to Tuesday night, right? So Wednesday night, no, this is, I have to write this down because it trips me up
I
every
know.
time.
So hang on, I'm gonna try to do it in my head.
Yeah,
So it
let's
was
see.
Saturday. So it was till Monday morning. Sunday night.
Pause the recording while we do our calculations.